In today's video, we continue our Azami series, focusing in on Villa for this one. Now make sure to go down into the comment section, let me know what you think of the new season so far. Now let's aim for 100 likes on this video, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when we upload our next video. And without me talking anymore, let's get started. Alan from the Dangleberries here, once again teamed up with Elevate to bring you the best Azami setups on Villa. Now we're starting off here on the second floor inside the Aviator bomb site, and this is like a one-way setup that you can do for this skull door. So if you place the first Kiba barrier on that little white mark that exactly I pinpointed on screen, you can place a Kiba barrier on the side of the maps table. You then need to place a second Kiba barrier on that little smudge above the door frame, and this will create a one-way angle out onto the top of red stairs. Now you can watch the doorway into statue, you can watch obviously the top of the red stairs platform, red landing, and out towards the doorway into wolf. Now this is really strong because they cannot see you once they make their way up the red stairs, and I will show it from the other perspective here what this looks like. So when they're coming up the stairs to peek, they literally can't see you, and even if they crouch, it's going to be really difficult for them to get a shot on you. Moving over into the study room for this next one, and this is a really simple Azami barrier just for protecting that doorway out onto the balcony. Especially if they're making a push, you can use this barrier to swing and stop them making their way into study. It's just a really good one to protect against that door and not getting swung on if you're trying to peek towards the balcony. Now of course you're prone to the window, so a bonus barrier is you could just stick one on the side of this wooden beam here, and you can still use that as cover and peek between the two barriers out onto the balcony. So it's just a really strong one to help you control this room and keep them from pushing towards the bomb site. Now this is inside the bomb site once again. This is again just a cover onto that study room door. You can just place it on the side of the couch. It gives you that extra bit of cover to move around the vault door and in through the rotate, and it is a very simple but highly effective barrier to use. These next barriers are just a little bit of a setup for inside the bar. Now you can place a Kiba barrier on the side of the pool table here, which just protects against that doorway out into the hallway, so you can safely move between the rotate and the vault doors. Now the next little setup I have here, and I love using this one, is if you jump up on the counter and run up onto the flower pot, you can run onto the counter on the other side. If you just break some of the stuff off the counter to make it easier to maneuver around, you can place Kiba barriers on the bar counter and use this as like a really strong power position for attackers making their way into the site. You can place one up to block the vault door if they do take control of the other bomb site. You can block the hallway door, and of course you can make holes out over towards the skull door and place a Kiba barrier to protect yourself. So this is just a really strong little kind of power setup for the defender to hold down the bomb site. Then moving out into the 90 hall, this is one of my favorite ones as well to use. Now this is a very strong one-way setup that you can do. So right on this little red brick on the side of this pillar here, you can place a Kiba barrier. And then you can place a second Kiba barrier on the corner of the arch here, exactly where I pinpointed on screen, and this will create the one-way angle. You can then sit up on top of the counter here at the end of 90 hall and watch all the way down towards top books as they're making their way down the hall. It's really strong, and it's so difficult for the attackers to see you up here. So it's just a really, again, a strong power position. The only risk of course is someone rappelling up the window in 90. But you can see here from the other perspective how strong this is. They peek out, they cannot see you up there, and even if they crouch, it's going to be very difficult for them to get a shot off. It should be very easy for you to get a pick before they can even actually engage with the defender. Moving on here to the top of main stairs. Now there's a couple of little ways you can set this up. Now you could make it into a kind of like almost like a one-way angle if you want, or if you just place a Kiba barrier on the side of this cabinet here, you can sit behind it and again use this as a little power position for them trying to push in the study door. Now you can add on to this by placing the second Kiba barrier on the door, and you can sit behind it here, and it gives a nice little pixel angle onto that doorway, and they have to come all the way into the room to break that barrier, unless of course they have utility to destroy it, but it's still a really strong position to propel the attackers pushing towards the bomb site. Now moving into the statue bomb site for this setup. Now this is just a little simple one, but again highly effective. If you place the Kiba barrier on the very corner of this arch here, you'll be able to get a nice little angle through the doorway. You can then add a second keeper barrier onto the door, which will give you a one-way angle into the master bedroom. And again, it is just such a strong position to be in here. And you can see here from the other perspective what this looks like. They will not be able to see you. Even if they crouch, it's going to be very difficult for them to get into an engagement with you. So it's a really strong one to use. And moving into Astro here, I have a couple of variations that you can use here. So if you place a keeper barrier on the top of the bathroom door and then come around to the desk here, and right in between the chair and the drawers, you can make a small pixel angle through the front of the desk. Now they're going to swing and try and hit the keeper barrier, and you can get some picks and stop them making their push into Astro. Now you can see here from the other perspective what this looks like. They're going to swing in and they'll see the hole in the desk, but it's so difficult to see here. That's exactly where I'll be laying there, where I'm showing. So it's going to be very difficult for them to get a pick. Now this is the other variation to this. So what you can do again is place the keeper barrier on the top of the door frame, and then over by these containers here, exactly on the little smudge that I have pinpointed, you can place a second keeper barrier, and this will almost create a one-way angle. They'll be swinging into bathroom trying to get a peek onto that container, because a lot of people hold that position over there, and they'll have a very difficult time trying to get into a gunfight. You can see where my bullets are hitting, and they've already pushed into the bathroom. Now this is just a simple rotate cover protection here. If you place a keeper barrier on the side of this blue container, it will just give you that little bit of cover onto Wolf door. Now you can make holes in the side of the cabinet here as well, so you can sit right behind this and you have some really strong angles watching out towards that doorway. Moving down into the kitchen bomb site for this one, and this is just a nice little setup here to stop that China door push. So if you jump up on the counter here, lay prone and line it up with the second row of the red bricks, you can place a keeper barrier and it will make a small little pixel gap on the bottom of the barrier. So it's really strong. You can just sit here, and as they peek in, they're going to have a very difficult time trying to get shots onto you, and you should be able to pick them off. You can add on to this by putting a second barrier on the blue container sitting out on the side there, that just that little pixel part that's coming out. You can place a barrier on the top of this, and it just leaves a small gap in between, so you can move between the two barriers and get into gunfights with anyone pushing into the bomb site. The great thing about maneuvering between these two barriers is you can also actually jump up onto the counter, and if you just break a little bit of that green shelf, you'll be able to actually peek along the right side of this barrier down onto China. So it's just another little position that you can get yourself in to keep control of the site. Now this is a simple little pantry cover, especially if you're playing in that other setup that I just showed you. You can place a keeper barrier on the side of this bag here on the ground, and you can sit behind the bomb chassis, and there's just a small little gap in between the barrier and the bomb chassis, and you can stop them making their push through pantry. Now this is just a bonus one here, just blocking that laundry door, especially for the default plant spot in the corner there. But that's it for the video today, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed it. Go down into the comment section, let me know what you think of the season so far and what rank you're at right now. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you haven't got your hands on any of the Elevate skins, make sure to check them out in the R6 shop. And until next time, I'll talk to you in the next one.